I'm Alan Osborne. And let's see, it's the 6th of January. And last night and tonight we're going to shift back from the Walton County debacle to the Destin City debacle. So if you're just tuning into one of my shows for the first time, the issue we got going on is basically the state, in a quote, emergency measure by Jay Trumbull, decided that we had to spend $84 million on a piece of a spoil area. We broke regular procedures. The appraisals and the proposed plans for the area for the public were drawn by the developer who wanted to sell it and presented by the developer who wanted to sell it, or the company, or whatever the entity is that owns it and the people who are there. The city representatives on where the park is, it's strange, but the state representatives decided that the city officials must be idiots and they were going to let the county manage a state park in the middle of Destin, right on Noriega Point, right where we already have a city park. And so the big stink of it is it's not zoned for a commercial marina. The marina itself was built as a residential marina. And the marina is not even going to get a certificate of occupancy until they can't use it until the condos are built. Now suddenly there's no condos, and poof, that thing was presented as a commercial marina, which is not built to commercial marina standards. And that area is not supposed to have commercial activity, charter boats, all that stuff. So here we are. How did we get here? Well, the city councilman, and I'm going to condense part of the show to the part I want you to see, but I'm going to play the end of the motion where they decide to go talk to the state. But you'll hear, if you'll go listen to it, you'll hear councilmen say they were told to be quiet because if it got out in the public, it could kill the deal. Why? Because Alan's opinion is because the deal was crooked. And there wouldn't be near the money spent on it that they were about to spend on it if the truth be known. So what I propose, and you can listen to me, is that they have to ask the CFO to do an investigation of how this came about. Because the governor got on TV and said the condos weren't going to be worth $25 million each. Nobody's paying $25 million each for a condo on Holiday Isle. I'd be shocked if they could get more than a couple out of it. I don't know of any that are for sale over there for more than a couple $1 million. And he's sitting there saying that the top floors are going to be $25 million. No, they're not. And nobody wants to overlook a parking lot where the public's coming not at millions of dollars, maybe $1 million. So I think the project was completely economically viable. It's very suspicious that the developer put the marina in that he knew he couldn't use and went ahead and tied up all that money before he built the building. Now, it doesn't pass the smell test. And look, in the world of Alan Osborne viewers, if it looks like poop and it smells like shit, we don't taste it. We assume that those first two factors, I don't take a test if the first two are there. So that's what this thing smells like. So let me take you there to the Destin City Council meeting last night. You're going to hear a couple of discussions right before the vote on whether to go talk to the state. I made a suggestion earlier during the meeting, and Sandy Trammell basically stood up and made the exact motion that I cautioned them about, and the attorneys had already agreed with me. She so didn't understand it, she made the exact motion that even Jim and Dewey, well, they weren't with that shit, because they knew that was our power. Some things I want you to listen real close to. See if you hear it too. Why are Jim and Dewey and the other two councilmen, because I felt like Jim and Dewey had the lead, why are they scared to piss off somebody at the state? What are they going to do? Not give us more money that they don't give us already? The Triumph money ain't coming to Destin. This is about political power, and we should never be scared. And I'll say it at the end of the show. We should never be scared to tell our representatives something doesn't look right. And if they're offended that I want them to tell me, did the sellers disclose the issues about the marina and the development order? And did they really have the means to build a building? And so, or was the appraisal based on something that could not happen? And several of the councilmen said that. Bagby, who was the most vocal, him and Dewey against it, said he thought we overpaid by at least $50 million. I say 60. And if our elected officials, if Jay Trumbull or any of the state, Don Getz, Nathan Bowles, any of you, if any of you are offended that we would want a question of how did we appear to spend $50 million on something that everybody acknowledges wasn't worth it, $50 million too much. If our public officials think that it's not in good faith that we question them, then we're screwed. Because it is the people and the people's power of vote and opinion that these representatives are supposed to be representing. So if we're told, like Drew Palmer, to basically, it's a done deal, you better shut up and ask no questions or you're going to kill it, and stupid stuff like it's the state's money. The first town hall meeting, Drew and the assistant county administrator, who apparently signed a letter telling the state that it's okay, they said they'd already had people approach them about taking over the commercial lease out there for the Marina and restaurants and stuff. The public didn't even know what had happened, and we're trying to find out what their plans are, and then they admit they're already receiving. So you know those people are insiders. I'd like to see who they received the proposals from and who they're tied to. You can't make this shit up, so I'm going to go ahead and play it. You pay careful attention to what Bagby says. Pay careful attention to what the other commissioners say, because Dewey and Jim run away with something like we've asked the state attorney's office to indict somebody. And they want to know what we're going to look at. Well, we're going to look at the disclosures of real estate that are Florida law. Did they check a box saying it's in compliance with all codes and ordinances? Because the Marina wasn't until they couldn't get a CO to use it until the building was built. Everybody goes, why don't they use that? Because it's tied to their residential building. Now suddenly, poof, it's a commercial marina. So here we go. I'm gonna take you to that part, and then I'll just let you see what they say. But we should never, and I'm talking to Councilman Hubert, Councilman Trammell. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Councilman Bagby and Councilman Destin. Ladies and gentlemen, what in the world are you scared of? The truth? We should never be scared of the truth. In fact, the truth will set us free on some of this stuff. We're at a turning point in the nation. I'm a Republican, and I'm against the Democrats and the Somalia daycares and all this other horse shit handing out EBTs to people who are here as refugees. Hell no. But I'm also equally against conservatives pulling political quid pro quo for as much money as 25 daycares are ripping us off on. It ain't no better. We in America have to get a handle on this because the government doesn't produce any money. They just take it from us and redistribute it. So I'm Alan Osborne, and let's go live to the show.
Down, middle. All right, show business.
My name's Alan Osborne. I use my property at 572 Gulf Shore Drive. I got something to say later, but I'm talking about the city manager's specific item here. I know you're going to consider some things to protect yourself in Noriega Point. And if anybody knows me and watches what I do a lot of land use research. And I do commend you for wanting to make that a conservation area. But I've already had a long conversation with your attorney and Larry, and I'm not trying to overdo their opinion. I'm just going to tell you this. In the state of Florida, there's a history of the state screwing up like this deal right here, okay? It's not the first time. This ain't something new. They did it down in Bradenton. They did it all over the Everglades. And local governments went to the state and went, what the hell you doing? But here's what I will tell you. I believe you're in a position of strength right now, and here's why. I think you're stronger. You can always change Noriega Point to what you want. But if you do it now, here's what the state's going to do. They're going to say, oh, you changed it after we bought it. But in fact, right now, you had already taken the steps to make sure that it stayed the way you wanted to and fit the destined lifestyle and heritage that we have with that area. You had said you can have a marina, but you can only have what the other people before you have. You can have docks for individual homes because it doesn't create more traffic. It's the same condo unit using the same this, and you can't rent the charter boats and all that. We're not in the private marina business, and as you well know, years ago when we tried to get into it, they told the fishermen, go form a co-op and build a commercial dock. We're not paying for it. So that's what happened, and commerce happens. But in this case, you should, in my opinion, we should hold our position, because what you did is you tagged that marina as an entitlement to the property. Now the fact that, and I'll go into this later, but the fact is, in my opinion, you have every right as a city to now look at the state and go, that's fine, you bought it. Now build the condo that goes with it or take down the marina. You simply can't convert a private marina not built to commercial standards and at a different standard, and you hold that position. The second position, and unless somebody wants to surrender me some time because I'm running out and forfeit me their time, but the deal is this. You were left out of the deal, and thereby the citizens of Destin were left out of the deal. You didn't get a seat at the table, and quite frankly, Mr. Palmer's comments about this is a done deal, bend over and like it, no, sir, we can put him out of that office. So we don't need people that don't represent us. So I think what you need to do is maintain your position that we approved a dock for all these condos. And if you don't want to if you want to keep your dock state, then go build the condos that they were approved with. And if you don't, then take them down. And so you ought to hold that position, and you ought to use that position. Now, if I can ask the mayor to have one of the councilmen give me a little more time, I'll finish with one comment here.
I was going to say, I'm sure you're going to have plenty, so let's just wrap.
Here's what I would tell you.
Yeah.
So I'll try to make it shorter than that. But you watch my shows. I won't cuss and all that I want to do. Okay? But I'm going to tell you this. I think what you ought to do, and nobody wants to hear me say the word corruption, so I won't say it. I'll say this. Failure to disclose. I think this council, as unified as you were, should ask the CFO to make an investigation of who told the governor's committee and who told the state that this project was eligible to become a commercial marina when the people who owned it obviously possessed the developmental orders that told them what the requirements were. So in order to misrepresent, in my opinion, if the property was misrepresented to the committee and the state, I say we overpaid for it. And I say that Destin and South Walton should have had regional beach accesses with this much money. Now, it is just too bad to be a traditional conservative, if you are. I am. I'm not asking you to be. But to not waste the taxpayers' money is paramount, and I think we see it across the nation. We have to stop people who are telling the government lies to get a Somali daycare or a piece of spoil for $80 million. That's just ridiculous. And so I think the CFO of this state, and I think you should pass a resolution as a council to ask the CFO to do an independent investigation of, was the committee and was Jay Trumbull and them told that this marina, because they showed up with concept drawings from the developer of a commercial marina and commercial pavilions, exactly what this council's development order did not approve. So my simple question is, let's not say corruption. Let's call it disclosure. Did the seller disclose to the state and the county officials who were making decisions that this wasn't there? Because I will say, in my own belief, that I don't believe that this piece of property could have passed boring samples. I don't think that any insurance underwriter was ready to underwrite the construction of this project, and I say they knew they were in trouble. And I'll say that because of this. A year and a half ago, I laid this scenario out, and everybody called Alan a conspiracy theorist. Well, if you go through my 25 years of public comments and 600 or whatever meetings now, you'll find I bat about 950.
It's a pretty good average. So the fact that I said what Graham left the council for, where he went, and what was going on with that property, the fact that it came true, either I'm a genius, or I put puzzles together well, or I should be in New York picking stocks like this with Johnny Carson. Because what I say is come true. Is the property worth some money? Yes. Should it be left as a Destin Park? Yes. And it should be governed by the Destin City Council and the people of Destin. You don't go into a neighborhood that was here before the city. Oscar and Drayden and all them, they lived out there before this was a city.
Final comment.
Go ahead.
Final comment.
Okay, final comment. So I'm asking you to hold your position, get a better one. And it costs you nothing to ask the state in unity, something doesn't smell right here. And we want to know what was disclosed to the state that made this such an emergency that they had to leave the city and the citizens out of one of their most pristine, picturesque parts of their city. That is us. Everybody looks at our past, and we know that there were some untruths said. And I know it's easier to take a comfortable lie, but I would ask you to make a motion to request the CFO of this state to conduct an investigation of how this property was bought to bear.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, anyone else?
So he purposely had his guy put that in their request. Okay? Do I think that the Senate staff or Senator Trumbull read through every word of that document? No, I don't. And I think they go, oh, well, we got a request. Okay. Hey, that would be good. You know, that's a beautiful view. He's seen it. They've all seen it. Everybody in our legislative delegation has seen that view. And yeah, that would be great if we could get that. Oh, well, he's got appraisals. You know, the staff that was running the process, they did what staff do. Well, he's got 2 appraisals. Now, the state should have gotten its own appraisal. Well, we can't relitigate the sale.
So Mr. Osborne brought up something, and it sounds interesting, and it sounds like everyone's agreeing, but can you touch on all that?
Yeah, I can. And I'll just shut it so that it doesn't echo. But so our point here was to reach out and talk to the state. This wasn't about forcing anything. In fact, that's not the way a change to the zoning or the future land use works. There would have to be at least 6 public hearings to make any of that happen, at which point the state, the county, and every single resident in this room would be participating. So the motion isn't intended to do that. For clarity, to make the entire council comfortable with it, why don't we do a substitute motion that just narrows it down for now to having a discussion with the state about the city's conservation zoning? And just for the record, I want everybody to understand that when the city applied for its grant funding for our city park, which is Noriega Point, we were required to submit a management plan, and that management plan approved by DEP required that the land use and zoning for Noriega Point be conservation. And I believe, and I've not had this conversation with the state, but I would believe that something similar is probably the state's intent. So the point of this agenda item was to have those conversations and make sure everybody understood the proper future use of the property, which is clearly not commercial.
Okay, I'll make that substitute motion that we direct staff to engage the state and have that conversation about a conservation zoning on that piece of property.
Right, I do have a substitution motion on the floor.
Can I second the substitute if I withdraw the first?
Fair enough. All right, so we got to withdraw. And are you okay with calling it a motion?
Yeah, sure.
All right, thank you.
So if I can continue?
Let me get my second first. We got a second on the new motion. Councilman Destin, thank you. Councilman Schmidt, the floor is yours.
I think Mr. Osborne brought up some very good points, and it sounds like he has a very good history of a lot of things that he does. And Mr. Bagby is a very smart man and connected to a lot of people as well, and very educational, and so I appreciate all their input. I think, Ms. Cobb, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's important that the city is taking a proactive measure. And I think a couple months ago, we were trying to take proactive measures, right? And we, we were trusting the county, in my opinion, too closely. You know, and so, yeah, this clears it up, Mr. Bagby. I'm with you as well, because, and for me personally, I think y'all will agree, and Larry, like, I don't want to just call our Kelly, our state rep lady. I don't know who the state is when y'all are referring to this, but we need to talk to the people that matter. You know what I mean? And not just the lobbyists for the state. I want to talk to the people that know, because we don't want to bend over anymore. So, thank you.
All right, Councilman Destin?
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with the intent of the new motion. We want the DEP especially to be on our side. And I think they will be. After all, as Kim just told us, changing Noriega Point's zoning to conservation was a requirement of their turning it over to us. So they would have to reverse course, and I don't believe they will or should. The other points I'd like to point out is, you know, as far as the dock, I would say at least it's the intent of the council to help fund the removal if necessary. That would be the most significant move toward water quality in the Destin Harbor since the pump was put in. There's no question. And those materials are quite valuable. I think we could probably have the whole thing removed for the materials. Yeah. And what we want to make clear to the state is that we're 100% in favor of the land being put in the public trust. What we have a problem with is the intense commercial nature of what the county is proposing. It's totally out of character with conservation. It will make, as was brought up earlier, it may make our park on Noriega Point unusable. We've only got a limited amount of parking out there. If they go forward with their plan, every bit of that parking will be taken up by the people who are going to participate in the giant waterborne RV park that they plan for that marina. Just think about the amount of parking it would take. That is 50 plus slips of boats that are 50 plus feet who may well have 20 people staying on them. This is exactly what it is a giant RV park for boats that would require probably 150 parking spaces. And then the 9,000 to 12,000 square foot restaurant in disguise that they want to put there at 100 spaces, at 100 square feet for each space is another, if it's 10,000 feet, 100 spaces. Now we're at 250 spaces that would be required just for their commercial uses. That's a travesty. I don't believe the DEP and even our state politicians would think that that is the proper course to take. And we want to give them an alternative, a reasonable alternative that accomplishes what they meant to do when they bought the property, I hope. And so that's what we need to have discussions with them. You know, I'm willing to go pony up money to let's start taking out some part of the marina and leave what is necessary there for the public to use it on a transient slip basis, just like is defined in the administrative code that DEP enforces. That would give us a bunch of parking that would be an alternative to car parking for people to use the park. Anyway, I think that we need to seriously contact DEP, tell them what we would be willing to do to try to fulfill the true intent of that property's purchase, and ask them to, you know, work with us. We're going to have to look at zoning it as conservation, but only with their understanding and their cooperation. Right. Otherwise, we're banging our head against the wall. And, you know, I would be absolutely amazed if they would be opposed to trying to make that the kind of park that we think it should be, and instead turn it into a commercial development that is more intensive than what was intended to put there. So if our motion is going to send us off on that direction, then I support it. And we need to immediately start conferring with them so that we can work together. But they need to know the only way to get the parking out there for what the county plans to do is to build a parking garage. Would they seriously contemplate that? So, we need to enter into some serious discussions and tell them we want to be their partner, not their adversary, and let's go forward with that step. And if it doesn't work, well, then we tried, and it will get quite interesting. As I explained to Ms. Kopp in some of our discussions earlier, this almost mirrors the battle we had over closing the road through Henderson Beach. At that point, we filed suit against the county because they were our hero once again trying to do that. And the state never entered into the litigation at all. They let us battle it out between us and the county, and what happened was the control of the council was taken away and the city dropped the lawsuit. But we weren't losing because we were fighting the county, not the state. So we'll see. Hopefully we don't get to that point, because I have faith that our state representatives especially are going to do the right thing. That's what I've always expected, and that's been my experience with them so far.
Councilman Guile.
I've been debating saying this because we don't ever get a chance to talk about what happened in that meeting with Palmer and myself, amongst us. But I think, and I don't know, I know he met with all of you, and I don't know if he told you his vision, but the vision he told me was a restaurant, a store, and a gas station. And then at that town hall meeting, they put not a gas station right now, right? Which still means he's planning to throw a gas station up there at some point. So the little picture they painted on the wall had nothing to do with what their real plan is. Next, I asked him point blank, well, right now that's zoned residential. Are you planning to come to city council and have us rezone that? He said, do you think you will? I said, absolutely not. And then he goes, well, then we'll just go to the state and have it overturned. So, I'm sorry. I'm not close enough?
Audio people are telling me.
I'm sorry. But basically, that he said he was going to go to the state and have whatever we have it zoned overturned. And how confident he was made me believe that he already had the state convinced of this. I don't know if that's just because that's how well he played his cards, but he doesn't seem that bright to me. To me, he seems like a puppet. But if you guys think that the state will listen to us a little bit, I'm willing to give it a shot. The other question I have is, Mr. Alan Osborne mentioned making a motion to go to the CFO and have him investigate. I mean, what stops us from making that motion? Can I make that motion? I'd make the motion to have the CFO investigate this after this one. I'll make it after this one. I apologize. After we vote for this, I'd like to make a motion. All right.
All right. Yep. And almost to go off Councilman Destin, I kind of feel like that our state representatives are on our side. I think there was two narratives that were told. One told to the county and one told to the state reps and potentially the governor's office. So I think the monkey in the middle is the one trying to talk off both sides, trying to paint the better picture for both parties in particular. So I think if we intervene like they didn't want us to do, I think we're going to find that there's some, what you call it, lack of communication, not corruption, happening here. So failure, appreciate you. And so, yeah, I agree with Councilman Destin when it comes to, I think if we can get involved and be proactive and get the state to see what our citizens are saying, then perhaps they will get a full picture and not the picture that was presented to them that sounded good without the expectation of understanding of what our representatives appoint to, and that's the citizens of Destin for our districts. Councilman Braden?
Thank you, Mayor. So what's different this time than when we asked the staff last time to go to the state and find out what's going on, what their intentions are, try to shed some light on this? I don't know if y'all heard anything, but I ain't heard a thing, nothing, not zilch. And
We've had multiple conversations with the state. I think I've talked to you about it. But we've had multiple email and one large conference call with multiple individuals from DEP that are involved with this. And we had the call set up to talk again after we gathered a little more information and had the town hall. But the initial phone call was December, is it 18th? It was mid-December, I could get the exact date. And we talked about the city's desire to be involved in it and to have a say, and we informed them that we had not had a say yet in the proposed management plan and that we would get back to them shortly. Waited for this meeting, and we intend to tell them now, give them a link of the town hall meeting so that they know what occurred, and then tell them what council decided tonight.
So I guess, again, I ask, what's the difference between tonight and what we've asked to be done?
Post-town hall, post-county management plan.
More information.
And we don't think they haven't seen that yet? I mean, we're talking about our
They
state
hadn't
representatives.
the individuals we spoke to had not seen it yet at that time.
I
It
know
was in
we-
between holidays,
Right.
conveniently.
We spoke to them before the holidays, but obviously the town hall was the day before New Year's Eve, right after Christmas. So we were waiting till after New Year's for the follow-up.
I mean, it would be nice to find out what's going on or what their intentions were and all that, but I don't know, Jim's talking about, we need to trust our legislative sponsors and our everybody at the state level and are all our representatives, but did any of them call any of y'all and said, hey, look, this is coming down the pipe, we're looking at buying this land, what do y'all want to do with it?
They called me when I tried to have a fireside chat talking about it, and was basically closest thing to threatening from the standpoint of, we don't want to break this deal. They kept saying, if you talk about it, the deal might fall through, and wouldn't that be horrible if you then created a conservation deal, now gone, development went up. So the only information I've ever gotten is don't talk about it, even when I tried to.
So it sounds like if we go to them now, they're not going to talk to us, or, I mean, I'm just kind of confused because we've asked to go talk to them and find out what's going on. We want to be in a loop. Can't get there. Nobody will talk to us, is what I'm hearing. And now we're going to go back to them again and say, hey, this is what we want. They obviously don't care. Any of them don't care. I mean, so I just don't know.
It's a good question.
What
I'm
we vote
confused
on.
too, because what do you do, Rodney? So like, what can we do, right? Do we,
But it just seems like
I know
what we've
his
been doing
motion's
is
coming,
not-
which is gonna be good, but like, do we call the Attorney General of the state of Florida? Like what, I'm just curious. Like, I'm asking.
I agree.
What
And it
can
seems
we
to me
do?
like what we've been doing is not working. That's why I want to change and do something else.
This was the next idea.
Do we just go into a full-blown investigation, or do we kind of play a few cards and see what the state says? Now that it's closed, maybe they are up to talking to us and telling us a little something?
The individuals we spoke to at DEP were new to their jobs as of the end of September, early October. So I don't think it's that they weren't trying to respond to us or talk to us in December. They had literally been on the job for probably 60 to 90 days at that point, give or take. So I think that they were doing their research and getting up to speed as well. And I think that our future conversations with them could be fruitful. I believe that DEP will want to hear from the city and to hear from the residents, and probably, I would assume, to support the conservation that they did right next door. So I do think we should have those conversations and come back to council at the next meeting with an update. Because like I said, these are not the same people at DEP that were there before the closing. So the ones we're talking to, I don't think they had all the history. Would you agree, Larry?
100%. And I almost felt like they had been instructed to stand down until this thing was closed. And so I think we're in the dynamics around the whole process are different now. That's happened, and these folks were very cordial and inquisitive, would be the way I explain it. And I think now that we're beyond closing and we know how that all has played out, we've got a better opportunity to sit down and say, okay, now, where we go from here?
I guess it's worth one more shot now that it's closed and see, but that's all at best, that's all I'm willing to do is give them one more shot at you guys talking, finding out what's going on. If not, then it's just, just go neck deep, start an investigation on it, and just play hardball.
All right, Councilman Bagby, what was that?
Call the question.
Yep, that's what I'm doing. All right, so I got the motion on the floor, and we'll call the vote. All right, ayes have it, so moved 6-1 to open up dialogue with the state and a motion.
Yes, sir. I'd like to make the motion that we reach out, I'm sorry? A resolution?
Yeah.
Well, let me let Kevin. He seems to have this down. He's over here trying to coach me through it, but no, please, go ahead. A resolution that we reach out to the CFO of Florida about and investigate this deal. Is that okay?
Yeah. All right. All right, so that's a motion on the floor at the moment. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a second. Any further discussions? Oh, yeah. I see the negative frowny faces over here. All right, Councilman Destin.
Not yet. Go ahead.
Well, Mayor, while I understand the motivation behind that.
I'm not mayor. Don't mayor this.
No. You're using the royal mayor type thing here. The problem with that is we are now, by going forward with this, accusing the state of committing perhaps fraud. Or is our goal to overturn this purchase? Because if that's what happened, then that's what we would do. And you must remember the CFO was a member of the cabinet. He voted for this.
Yeah, he voted no.
There were no no's. I was there.
It was unanimous.
Maybe. In any event, at this point, in my opinion, is premature. We want to try to work with those guys. And it just is going to fly in the face of that. Because we're accusing them either of being dumb or committing things they shouldn't be committing. At this point, that would be very unfortunate and very fruitless to go forward on that at the moment. So while that may be something that comes at the end, it shouldn't be at the beginning.
Councilman Bagby.
Yeah, I'm not going to support the motion, and I understand the passion, and I get it, and I think it stinks to high heaven, but in my mind, again, we're running an operation here, and the key to this operation really is our legislative delegation and DEP. And DEP, the last time I checked the structure of this state, works for the governor. And so if we want to get people to work with us and listen to us and give us an opportunity, you don't turn around and slap them in the face and say, and oh, by the way, you crooks need to do something. Okay? We either got to go one way or the other. I mean, and we can go either way. It's up to the council. You know, we can file a lawsuit. We can request the state's attorney investigation. We can request the CFO look at it. We can request a lot of different things. But all those outcomes are negative for our city and our citizens, and most importantly, that parcel, okay, that we want to protect. And I think we try to work with people. We go forward with a good faith effort of trying to get DEP on our side to say, yeah, same requirement that was on Noriega Point, conservation, got to be. You can't be doing this other stuff, because if you go up there and you spit in their face, don't act surprised when they just slap you back. And let me tell you, the state can slap us a hell of a lot harder than we can slap them. That's
Councilman Schmidt.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I respect it, Mr. Gile. I like it. Larry, a couple months ago when we talked to Kelly or whoever we talked to before it closed, what was the communication about what we should or shouldn't do with Trumbull's office? Wasn't there specific feedback when y'all started this first adventure 2 or 3 months ago?
Well,
He didn't want to talk about it until it closed?
Actually, I did talk to him about it prior to it closing, and his feeling to me in my conversation was that he would like to see it be a state park, in the state park system. And I told him I didn't see the council objecting to that too harshly, considering what the alternative was looking for, what the Okaloosa County was looking at doing. So we did have a conversation, and I know that the conversation we had with.
So there was never any conversation from Kelly about Trumbull's office wanting us to stop talking about this?
Well, I think it was, to a degree, yes. And I'm trying to get my thoughts back to where we were. I know that Kelly had some conversation on our behalf with Senator Trumbull's office that he wanted to see it closed and then take whatever path would take from there. And so that, kind of tamp down the rhetoric so that it wouldn't be a back and forth and a battle. And that once we got it closed, then we could have those conversations. But, subsequent to that, I did have a conversation with Senator Trumbull. Yes, sir.
I don't take it as a slap in the face or as an accusation thing. I take it as we're requesting the CFO to go look further into this deal to just make sure all things were aligned properly, that there was no misinformation. I don't think Mr. Giles' motion was to send a lawsuit to their desk accusing them of illegal impropriety or problems. It was, can you go investigate this deal that happened and just make sure everything's on the up and up? And I believe we've been trying to do in good faith with everybody. We've sent our Kelly Heusler to go talk to Trumbull and all of the people, and we've tried to talk to DEP a couple times now. Now there's new people in the offices, like Ms. Kopp said, which I believe, but it's just further along. So a resolution is just a resolution. It doesn't mean that they have to agree to our resolution, right? Just because we ask the CFO to do this doesn't mean he will do it. But I'm all for it because this is, in my opinion, a respectful way of asking the state to just double check what they're doing and not just believing senators and congressmen and women. So let's do it.
All right. Councilman Braden.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm a little on the fence. I mean, I like the motion, I want to support it. It may just be a little bit premature. I mean, I feel like I've already been slapped in the face by the state when they tell our mayor to just sit there and shut up, don't say anything. We got this. I'd like some answers. I mean, it reminds me of when we were going through Gulf Power, their contract. And it was standing room only, We want Gulf Power, we don't care what the rates are, yada, 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 do it. Well, they didn't realize that that was our only negotiating power, was having that in the contract to buy our power system. That was the only thing we had to hold on to negotiate with. We give that up, we can't negotiate no more. They didn't realize that. So does the state know something we don't know? Is that the reason they're saying, look, y'all just trust us, let's let this happen, play out? So I don't know. Then I feel like the new staff, everybody that was involved in this is all gone now. So the new staff is like, well, don't know, we'll look into it, but it is what it is. They've already done it. It's been bought, closed. They ain't no changing it. It is what it is. So I don't know. I don't know. Like I say, I feel like I've already been slapped in the face by the state, and they don't care if they came to us and told us something. Look, we got this. Just sit back. Promise you it's going to be a sweet deal. Nothing. Just shut up and don't talk about it.
And to give them a fair shake, it was particularly the county on behalf talking about, hey, stand down, get this through, then we can talk. And now, to your point, we did that. We're playing good partnership. Oh, by the way, here's the project. It's a done deal. Sorry, come again. So that's where I feel like I've gotten slapped in the face is
So by the county, not
the
the
county.
state.
Yeah, I would give that burden to the county, saying, no, we're in this together. We're all local electeds here. We're working, and then communication's over. We already have designs, input's done. We'll listen, but we got our minds made up.
True.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Councilman Destin.
Thank you, Mayor. And once again, the point of this motion is to what? Overturn the transaction? To accuse all our elected representatives of doing something they shouldn't have done? If they do the investigation and finds everything was on the up and up, okay. If it shows that someone has done something wrong, then it could question the entire purchase. That is like shooting ourselves in the foot, in my opinion, right now. If we try to do that rather than go forward to try to cooperate and work with DEP and with our elected representatives, to do this is just counterproductive.
Councilwoman Trammell.
Let's just say I'll agree with Mr. Destin. It's easier. I'll just keep it short. I don't know how anyone can react to us in good faith when we're turning around investigating. That's just the point. So I will not support the motion.
Councilman Bagby.
Yeah, I would like to get an answer to Mr. Destin's first question, because maybe I don't understand. What is it exactly we are asking the CFO to investigate? Exactly.
The seller's non-disclosure.
Yeah.
The seller's non-disclosure of what? That he owned the property? That the property was...
The original use of the property versus what he sold it to be intended to be used for.
No, what do you think he sold it for?
Well, it was built as a residential.
No, it was approved as a HDR, high-density residential condominium. We approved it.
Right.
Okay? That's what it was approved as.
To a commercial marina.
Not the seller.
Well, that's what we want to investigate, to see if
What
the
do
seller...
the seller didn't say you can have a commercial marina. The seller said you can give me $84 million and this is yours. So the seller, that's why I don't understand.
The seller had a plan, though, with drawings, right?
Yeah.
That he submitted to the state,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So then, yes, the seller did tell the state that he wanted to put that y'all should potentially put a marina here.
No,
that was in his
he
plan that he submitted for the grant to the whole state.
Yeah.
The seller
what
had
he
that
submitted,
application.
Okay,
That was his application.
I think
The
here's
seller's.
the disconnect. The seller had approved plans that we approved.
Condo.
Right? With a condo, with a marina that we approved. Yeah, residential marina that we approved. Okay? And you have a piece of land. I mean, if you owned a piece of land and somebody came up and offered you $80 million for it, you'd probably sell it. You'd let them worry about getting it rezoned or whatever's left on there. You'd let them worry about doing the environmental studies. You'd let them worry about. You'd just sell the dadgum property. If somebody wants to come pay me $2 million for my house tonight, it's theirs. I will pack Jenny up and take a few things out of that bad boy, and we will be go. And I don't care what they do with it, because for $2 million, it's theirs. So I'm not sure exactly what you want us to investigate. Did he have approved plans? Yes. Did he go get appraisals based on those approved plans? Happens all the time, all over this country, where a guy says, hey, I got an approved condo here, Now, I probably can't build this condo, but, or I don't want to build this condo, or I can't build this condo because I don't have the funding, or I don't have, whatever reason. But I got appraisals based on the approved plans that I have, and here's what the appraisals say it's worth for that property with those approved plans. Now, if the state or somebody else wants to do something else with that property, That's fine, as long as you pay me what the property appraised at. And that was a real estate transaction.
When did the state get into business to bailing out developers that?
They're not in the business of.
Well, that's what they did here.
They're in the business of protecting, they wanted to protect that parcel.
Well, that's what they did here. They paid the man for what he could have made off the property because he had a development order on it.
Because that's what he had appraisals for, and that's the way, just like we pay.
So they bailed him
We
out.
did the same thing for a hotel out there on Crystal Beach, okay?
So the state bailed him out?
No. Did we bail out the guys that we bought the property from out in Crystal Beach? No, we wanted public beach. And we said, okay, you got an appraisal. I didn't think One Harbor Place, no way that piece of property was worth $9 million a year after the guy paid $4 million or $5 million, whatever for it. No way. Did we bail him out? No, we wanted that iconic view of property at the end of the bridge there at One Harbor. I don't think anybody up here voted to give him $9 million to bail him out. I think and I believe the words were actually stated by a member of this council, we will pay whatever it takes to get that parcel. Okay? And that's what we did. We paid almost double for what that property was worth. But it appraised at that, so guess what we have to do by our rules? State has the same rules. You bring me two appraisals, okay, I got to pay it. I may not agree with the appraisals. I don't agree with the appraisals that they got on that parcel out on Noriega Point. I'm right with Alan. Yeah, they probably overpaid $50 million for it. Probably should never have paid $84 million for it, but I don't get to make that decision.
That's what I want to know, is why, that's the question we keep asking, is what did they pay? What did they buy? Did they buy the view?
What did the state buy?
Yeah, they paid $84 million for a view?
They bought the land.
But in your scenario, I didn't. There's no way in hell I'd have voted for $9 million to buy that piece of property. But in your scenario, the council at the time wanted it because they wanted that view and they don't want to. So what did the state buy it for? Did they buy it for the view or did they buy it for conservation? Did they buy it for bird sanctuary? What did they buy it for?
It does not matter. That is irrelevant. They bought it because it was their right to buy it, just like it was our right to buy One Harbor. And we could have bought that parcel for $84 million if we had $84 million, but we don't have it.
Right,
So
I don't want to speak for Mr. Guile,
can we
but
get
I
back
think
to my
Mr.
question?
Guile might be wanting to know is a little bit of clarity on what information was presented to the cabinet and state legislators.
We have
what information was clearly given to them to understand what they were buying and why they were buying it.
We
I believe
have
we're just trying to
exactly
get
what was
clarity.
presented to the cabinet. We have their
Although he
agenda
didn't get a
item.
registered no vote, it was duly noted that the CFO was in disagreement and wanted to vote no. So there's confusion there.
Yeah.
I believe he's just trying to ask for a resolution just to make sure that there's no misinformation given about why the state should spend $84 million on this property and what their intentions are. I think that's what we're missing out on, and we'd like to know.
And he may have voted no because he had a piece of property
That's what
down
we'd like
in
to know.
Tampa Bay that he wanted this cabinet to buy for $84 million. We have all the information that was presented to the cabinet. We have every single document that was presented to them. I've read it twice.
Go home now then.
Okay? So I'm just asking, what is it we want him to investigate? Because I still don't understand.
I don't know how many times we can say it. We want him to review all the documents, cross all the Ts, dot all the Is, make sure everything was legitimate, everything was presented accurately, that there was nothing withheld, and that they based that decision based off true and accurate information.
And you don't think he did that as the CFO and a member of the cabinet?
Do you don't think anybody here makes a mistake ever, Jim Bagby? Because you look over
No,
here
I
at this
make a
staff
mistake
that's way
every
more
day.
educated than you are on financial situations, and you question them all day long.
Yeah.
So why don't we have the right to question our elected officials at a higher level or appointed officials to do that same investigation or ask them to answer for themselves the same way that you ask our staff to answer for themselves?
Well, and I'll tell you, because, yeah, I make mistakes every day. I probably make more than all y'all put together. But here's what's going to happen. okay? And I respect y'all and I love you, but I just not sure you understand this. The only thing that's going to happen if we pass this resolution right now is tomorrow morning, statewide, because I read all the little state blogs, the headline is going to be Destin City Council directs CFO to conduct an investigation on that purchase. And unless you have some information where I don't think it was right, but there's a difference between, me not thinking it's right or that they overpaid for it, which I do think they overpaid for it, and me having a belief that they did something wrong because they followed their process, they had the 2 appraisals, they paid what the appraisals were for, and they followed their process. And not a single person, and I watch Alan all the time, has made what I would say an allegation of criminal activity or illegal or even immoral or unethical activity.
None of us claimed any of that up here. None of us said that we want the investigation based off criminal, immoral activity. Not one of us made that comment.
Guys, y'all are...
So what's wrong with that headline if that comes out, Jim? I'm just curious.
Because
people are going to start. They're going to stop
it's
traveling
unfounded.
here?
If you had a shred of evidence that something nefarious had been done, that you could say, hey, I got pictures of this guy handing this guy a suitcase of money right before they voted yes. Okay, but you don't. You don't have anything. And you're making an allegation and asking for an investigation based on what? The fact that we don't like that.
But what does the headline do to us? Does it not say to the 200 people that were in that auditorium that night that aren't happy with this entire thing? Does it not tell them that the city of Destin is standing up to the big government and to certain people? Does it not tell them that? I think it will tell people that the city of Destin, again, are hand in hand and are wanting to make sure that we are representing the citizens that also feel like this is an inappropriate and they want more information.
Yeah,
so we're trying to represent them. I've had people tell me that this is a great idea. I'm not going to keep answering that. I'm not going to keep answering that question.
Well, and if we thought there was criminal activity, we'd ask the DOJ to investigate, not the VIP, right?
The thing is all the information you want is publicly available. It is publicly available.
All right, Jim, everyone, we're going to call the question. Yes. All right, with that, do we know the question? What question are we answering? All right, yes, the resolution. All right.
Why was the mayor's office left out of every transaction prior to?
Technically, they hold the power. I'm a political puppet, Queen of England. Yeah.
The question, Mayor, is that we were going to request
Yeah, resolution for investigation.
Why can't we do the first thing first and then go into this?
What did we pass the?
The first thing she's going to do is re-engage with DEP.
Yeah, we passed that.
Okay, why don't we let that happen?
Then vote no, and we can always come back.
Microphone, if you don't want to speak.
Yes, yep. All right. 4-3 the other way. Noes have it. Oh, my goodness.
Let the first thing happen first. Let Kim and them deal with the DEP.
Can we do a recess, Mayor, for a bathroom?
Yeah. So you made it this far. I hate to say you get all the time you want, but you got 3 minutes. You're a smooth talker. You can hit the push button.
I didn't want to piss him off. Okay, for the record, Alan Osborne, I would have rather have answered this before, but I'm going to answer first, Dewey. I can read it all I want. That still doesn't tell me what your opinion is, and since I don't get to vote on it, your answer is no good for me. I need to know what you think, who's going to vote on what these things said. Secondly, I want to answer your question. First, I didn't ask you to make an accusation of criminal wrongdoing. I said that. They won't sue me, that's great. What I said was it all disclosed? Because I want to remind you, a committee decided, Jim, to test LSD on U.S. Army soldiers as a nuclear protection. And my stepfather helped carry his own Agent Orange into Laos to be sprayed on him that the government told him was okay. So So it is the job of citizens to question the actions of government because we are the only check and balance. What I said was to ask the CFO to do an investigation on what was given, because none of y'all know what was given. You don't know what was said in the committee, and you don't know what paperwork, because I've actually been trying to acquire it, and I can't get it all, and you know what I want to do with it. So what I would tell you is here's what you could have found out. Did the contract tell them that they were in compliance? Did it tell the state that the property was in compliance right now? Because until they built the condo that the Marina was required to have, they weren't. So did they disclose it in their paperwork? It was a sales agreement where a large commission, and there's laws about that. What if we find out that the seller, so what I asked y'all to do was go have the seller investigated. And we all know that what happened in New Orleans with the seller, right? So we know the history. We also know that you said that we should trust the legislators on procedure. Well, on this case, they skipped procedure. Trumbull said it was emergency, and so we couldn't get our own estimates. So we don't know what those estimates were based on. We don't know if they had compaction tests. We don't know. Did they tell the state we're ready to build a condo, yet had no insurance company lined up, no bonding, no nothing? We don't know that. And if we're scared to offend our government by asking them to look at a deal, then we'll never move anywhere. And I said 60 million. I'll go with Jim. 50 million of overpayment. Do you think normal citizens are okay with not looking into that? $50 million, and we know one of the people that was involved had a job at the state attorney's office. There is nothing wrong with asking your government to address an issue that skipped procedure, that doesn't make sense, that broke an ordinance, that had people telling you to be quiet until it was over. That is unacceptable as citizens, and we shouldn't be scared to piss, because I don't care if Ron's pissed off. He's leaving in 2 years. I don't care. I don't care. What if you could get $20 million back for Destin and $20 million back for Walton County? Because that was $80 million for the Panhandle, and I believe that you, our council, our attorney, and Larry could have come up better with $40 million of what you could have done with it and still bought that land. So the question is still, why is it offensive to ask them to see if a seller, a non-governmental entity, did not tell us the whole truth? You might have a legal action for her if he lied on behalf of Daddy. Well, if he said that we're in complete compliance and you can do this, why would our government take offense to that? Y'all are acting like we're going to piss them off. They ain't going to give you no Triumph money anyway, not to Destin. So what do you care? They're holding that over their head. So I think it's wrong. Y'all shouldn't be scared to piss them off. They work for us. And the day that the government doesn't work for the citizens is the day that I'll move somewhere else. But that's not what I stood for in this country. You shouldn't be scared to ask the hard questions. In fact, you're empowered. You take an oath to do that, just like I sat in Somalia and can tell you that there's no gain from somebody from Somalia. I've lived there. But don't be scared to ask the question, because you're not asking your government, did they commit a crime? You're asking, did an individual company lie to the government? And having been an auditor for government contracts, Boeing, they all do it, and we catch them all the time. So I'm going to tell you, I caught Boeing rebuilding the engine one time and charging the government, and there wasn't no engine. Okay? That stuff happens. So asking the question of how this occurred and what the information is, because unless y'all can raise your hand and say you've seen it all and you heard it all, you probably don't have as much information as I have. But the people of Destin deserve for you to stand up, because the state don't make no tax money. They take it from us and they redistribute it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Hard act to follow.
Marcy.
The only one who... I was going to say, the only one who has a shot.
Hey, so I'm assuming that most of you probably at the dais know about what I'm getting ready to say.
Name and address, please.
Sorry, Marcy Bell, 3 Gulf Breeze Court.
There you go.
Because nobody knows, right? But I want to say for the public, or anybody that's watching this, y'all were debating on where the history is. I just spoke to Alan. He didn't know what I'm getting ready to tell you or what I'm getting ready to say, and I'm sure some of you know. But this property had an application with the Florida Forever program that was put in March of this year. I'm sorry, we're in 2026, March of 2025. That application was denied, but in that application is the same language that's in the draft proposal for the commercialization of that parcel. The application date was made on March 28th. Inside that application, there's a letter from the county dated January 13th, signed by the county administrator. There's a letter from the city of Destin, dated October 28th of 2024, where they state that the DO was extended through March 26th of 2033. Those are documents that are on public record. Then you go to the draft of the management plan, and you go to page 8 and see Appendix A, and you go to page 9, and then you go to Appendix B. And Appendix B of the draft management plan that the county is now proposing with the state specifically addresses the documentation in the Florida application, Florida Forever application. So if you're asking where and how and long and who knew what, it's all right there. They put their 2 letters from the county up on the screen the other day. Did you notice they were blurry? Did you notice they didn't leave them up for very long? One of them is dated August 19th, 2025, and the other one is dated January 13th of 2025. And in that, dang it, I didn't bring it up here. In that letter of January 13th, 2025, in that letter from the county, the last line of the letter states, "We are interested in being a part of this project," signed by the Deputy County Administrator of Okaloosa County. If you don't know about it, all you got to do is look at the documents.
All right, with that drop mic, anyone else? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comments, and I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for being here.